pleasure to see all of you around the table. This time at our 18th meeting of the EC Parliamentary Assembly. And before we begin, as customary, we'd like to welcome new heads of delegations here. And they are new since the meeting. I'd like to greet Mr. Dilbin Bushati, head of Albanian delegation. Welcome. Dear Mr. Bushati, who is recently foreign minister of Albania, bring additional expertise to our assembly. Then we have new Armenian delegation, of course, after the new elections. And I'd like to welcome Haik Konjulian from Armenia, Sheikh Ishan. Welcome. We expected to have also the new head of Bosnia-Herzegovina delegation, the Speaker of the House, Representatives, Božana Christo, our Italian friend and colleague Paolo Grimaldi. Welcome to you, Paolo. We have the head of delegation at this meeting, Speaker of the Mejlis of the Parliament of Kazakhstan, Mr. Nurlan Nigmatulin. Welcome. We had a fruitful dialogue yesterday, and we're looking forward to also listen to Mr. Nigmatulin in our session. He will speak as a guest speaker. Ms. Ines Ikstera from Latvia. Then Mr. Byron Kaminetti from Malta. Mr. Dambin Sokbatar, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Mongolia, our old and good friend. Mr. Gregor Peric from Slovenia, welcome, sir. And Johan Busser from Sweden. Also very warm welcome to all of you. I'd like to also warm and welcome our good friend, Vladimir Grochuk, sitting behind the side North Macedonia for the first time at the parliamentary assembly at this meeting. So, very good to you. Dear colleagues, I would like to ask you now first to adopt the agenda for this meeting, which is circulated, and the agenda adopted or not. I'd like to ask you any objections, any ideas. If it's adopted. You also will know that the agenda we have distributed anticipates an amount of time we will dedicate to each item. We have also moved the presentations so that for this meeting, presentations of important OCP activity for tomorrow and the plenary session to allow more room for debate in this meeting and in the rest of our meetings. I hope you will see this additional time to exchange with each other. I appreciate also an exhibition of art has been set up on the second floor. So also rules require that we have to adopt the agenda for the whole of the meeting under the rule of 16.1. So the draft agenda is also presented at this meeting. Is there any objection or any ideas? If it is not the case, agenda is adopted also. Thank you very much. It is approved. I also like to ask you, and before we proceed, to inform you that you may already sign up to speak tomorrow during the plenary session. I encourage you to do so and to sign up well in advance. And the speakers list will be closed at 1 o'clock. Now, dear friends and colleagues, I will move to my report, which is might be very long. I'm very sorry that, but it's reflecting on the activities that the President, with your support and permission, and with the great support of our Secretariat, carrying out during the time between our statutory meetings. And let me start by briefing you on my activities since we last met in Bishkek. And of course, please know that the exhaustive written report has been shared at this meeting and is available in written form also. and it will highlight you some, and then I will highlight you some key points and key visits and events. A week after our autumn meeting, I was here for the traditional address to the OSCE Permanent Council, when I presented the Berlin Declaration and encouraged our governments to consider our work and recommendation in preparation for the Milan Ministerial. As is now established practice, I returned last month to address the Permanent Council and outline our priorities for 2019. I will also mention it tomorrow, but it reflects a very good level of cooperation. First in the history of our Assembly, President of the Parliamentary Assembly speaks twice at the Permanent Council interacting with executive branch close. Both in Vienna and Milan, we regretted the lack of improvement of the state of health of the OSCE. We continue to see signs of growing dysfunctionality, which not only endangers the very existence of the OSCE, but also exacerbates tensions between our countries. I have pointed out, for example, that the consensus-based decision-making procedure that the OSCE relies on has its traits, of course, but it can also be a weakness when a single country veto is misused. As we have seen in recent years, the low level of trust in Vienna prevents our organization from adequately responding to our many security challenges. And this has made us unable to achieve progress in solving conflicts in our OSCE region, widely speaking. Against this backdrop, I urge in Milan the OSCE foreign ministers to instill the political will necessary to hold meaningful dialogue and to dedicate the resources needed for OSCE institutions and field missions to carry out their important mandate. I welcome the urgency that Slovak chairmanship has since given to resolving the issue of scales and contribution, and I hope that this signals the start of a comprehensive reform that will render the OSCE fully operational. In October, I was in Bratislava to meet Foreign Minister Lajčák, current chairman in office, Speaker Andrej Danko, and of course our colleague and a good friend, the Slovak delegation, led by Peter Rosuski. Once again, Peter, thank you for great hospitality and interesting discussions there. And this visit was very useful to carry on with last year's excellent cooperation with the Italian Church. As we have seen in 2018, we have been able to fully engage our Parliamentary Assembly with the work of the chairmanship, and this time contributed to maximize our organization's impact. I would like to thank the Slovak chairmanship for carrying on the example with the biannual invitation, which I already shared with you. It greatly contributes to enforcing our exchanges with the OSCE's executive structures. I think we are all eager to forward the work closely with the new chairmanship to support Slovak's main priorities. This includes the migration, the mitigation of human suffering in conflict zones, and security sector governance, and reform, issues where the OSCE has made valuable contributions. I have conducted a number of bilateral visits since our autumn meeting. In November, I was in the Vatican and traveled to San Marino for the first ever visit there by President of the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly. These two visits were useful to reaffirm equal importance we attach to all OSCE participating states to demonstrate the valuable contributions of small and large countries alike. After all, the OSCE's inclusiveness, one of its strongest assets. In November, I was also in Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan for my third visit to Central Asia in 2018. At that time, I also, carried out the responsibilities of special representative of Central Asia, inherited by my predecessor, Christian Mutterich, who was also very active in this region. And this time I was accompanied by my new and your new special representative from Central Asia, Mr. Roman Haider from Austria. I'd like to congratulate Roman for his very good steps and very, very useful contacts that he already established in Central Asian countries. In Astana, I was pleased to meet with Chairman Nurlan Nigmaturin, I will mention about this, whom we are honored to have with us today. We discussed a wide range of issues, including President Nazarbayev's proposal to host an OSCE summit in 2020. This is an idea that I personally welcome, and I foresee that as a strengthening, let's say, effort which will strengthen our organization in future. And I think you will agree that our organization should seize opportunities for more high-level political dialogue with the aim of strengthening the OSCE. I mentioned about Mr. Haider, and also I was joined in Tashkent by head of our third committee, head of the delegation Margaret Lennon, to discuss with our counterparts in Uzbekistan how parliamentary diplomacy can contribute to stability and development in Central Asia. Ms. Kendall Nealon, and I'm really very much thankful to you for great cooperation, Margaret, and also participated in the Asian Forum of Human Rights. It was a remarkable event in Samarkand to stress the central role that parliaments play in upholding human rights commitments domestically and internationally. All these visits have also been useful to reach out to a number of delegations to host our statutory meetings. I thank, for instance, San Marino and Uzbekistan for voicing their interest in welcoming us in the coming future. In November, I also led our election observation efforts for the medium elections in the United States as a special program. I'd like to welcome our colleagues from the United States, see Vice President Senator Baker, Richard Hudson, and I'd like to say that it's a sizable delegation this time, and we're thankful for your engagement. This was a very important mission from a political standpoint, and we put together a statement that will hopefully be of use in coming years. Some critical views, but useful recommendations. While I will report on this in more detail during our joint session tomorrow, I had the opportunity to exchange on this experience with members of the U.S. delegation during my recent visit to Washington just 2 weeks ago, and thank you for your help. And especially thank you to give the opportunity to attend the first time State of the Union, which was a very interesting event for me, also for all the partners also. It was a little bit difficult because of my jet lag, but again it was remarkable. Bearing in mind, and I'd also like to mention during our American visits for the observation mission, great input of Isabel Santos. She's not today with us. I'd like to comment her for great work and college. Bearing in mind the political importance of 2 other elections taking place this spring. Also, I was in Chisinau last month to pass on some key messages and ensure that this Sunday's parliamentary elections meet the high standards expected by all the citizens. High standards expected. It's important to continue reforms in Moldova, and I think with Henriksen, our colleague from Norway, will have a successful mission. And I'm thankful to the chairmanship to endorse my position as a special coordinator for this election. In the same spirit, I'll be in Kiev next week, ahead of Ukraine's presidential election. And I'm grateful that President Emeritus Ilya Kaneva and Treasurer Doris Barnett will lead our efforts there next month for what we expect to be one of our largest election observation missions ever. And you can understand, under given circumstances, the importance of this process in Ukraine. My dear colleagues, as you have seen, I continue to maintain a high pace of activities. Again, I'd like to apologize if it's too many activists in my presidential efforts, but as we quite often discussing that, the situation and challenges around us really forcing us to do it and to be on the spot when it's necessary, to be for the sake, first of all, for the sake of the interest and authority of organization we serve. Under the guidance of Vice President Peter Boris, many ideas have been put forward and some of them are already being implemented, as you can see today. So you know that we are in the process of, let's say, internally rationalizing our work and putting forward new ideas how to be more effective, how to implement what we designed. Since the annual session, our Secretariat has also been renewing our election observation practices to preserve the overall credibility of this exercise. We'll be discussing this further under point 8. So it's floor is open now for questions on my report. Until 9:30 was when we started in the day. So you will have opportunity to comment on other also international issues under next point in our agenda, as I informed you. So we have 3 people, 3 of our members already. Okay. For the next. Okay, now is there any questions with according to my report? You are for that? You're endorsing that? No objections? Thank you. Thank you very much. Then, please, first, Margaret Kennedy. Yeah, you asked to speak about your visit to Ukraine in December, which was very important time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Secretary General, dear colleagues. My voice is not the best, but I'll try my best. As you have been reading through our media releases in December, the leadership of Third Commission was able to accomplish a fact-finding mission. I was accompanied by our dear colleague and rapporteur Kyriakos Haigiannis from Cyprus, and from the Secretariat we had Marc Carrier, who prepared and accompanied all the work. We are not yet giving our written report, Mr. President. If we want to fulfill the mandate of Third Commission for viewing the whole picture on humanitarian aspects and human rights, we must also be able to go to the Donbas area, and we are preparing therefore part 2 of our visit, and we will have bilateral meetings about this tomorrow, and therefore we hope, with respect of the presidential election date in Ukraine, we would want to do part 2 of our mission end of May and beginning of June, so as to be able to report also in written and detailed form with our conclusions in Luxembourg. Today, during the joint session, Mr. President, I will elaborate a little more on the mission. Thank you for the floor.
Thank you very much, Margaret, and we're looking forward to hear from you in the session. And thanks to you and Kyriakos for this very important effort, and also our secretary who supported from both sides, also the Ukraine authorities and our secretary supported you, and SMM. Then another speaker will be Pascal Alizard, our Vice President of France. Please.
Oui, Monsieur le Président, merci pour votre rapport. Je voudrais rapidement évoquer deux points. Le premier concerne le Brexit. Le second, le sort des combattants djihadistes étrangers. Concernant le Brexit, le peuple britannique a tranché et évidemment nous devons respecter cette décision, même si, et c'est mon cas, nous pouvons la regretter. Les 27 États membres de l'Union sont restés unis dans la négociation et l'accord de retrait proposé au Royaume-Uni pourrait être en fait moins bon pour ce pays à l'extérieur de l'Union qu'à l'intérieur. Et en fait, quand on regarde globalement les choses, qu'avons-nous gagné? Une certaine méfiance s'est installée. Les relations commerciales avec les îles britanniques risquent de ralentir. La croissance européenne pourrait en souffrir. Et ce qui est certain, c'est que l'Europe en sortira affaiblie. Et l'Union européenne, en tant que projet, aura perdu de sa crédibilité. Et ce qui me préoccupe le plus, c'est qu'il semble que Bruxelles ne veuille rien entendre, ou quasiment rien, aux demandes de réforme qui viennent des États membres et ni aux aspirations nationales, et pas forcément nationalistes, qui émanent des peuples. Alors, accord ou pas, nous serons tous perdants et une certaine intransigeance de l'Union européenne aujourd'hui fait peur, si bien que plus aucun courant politique ne se risque de demander plus d'Europe. Pourquoi je pense que le Brexit apparaît bien comme une défaite européenne et il faudrait souhaiter qu'elle soit provisoire et que le désordre engendré par cette nouvelle donne ne dure pas trop longtemps. Il est temps que les élites européennes comprennent qu'elles doivent écouter les demandes d'identité, de souveraineté et de sécurité des peuples. Et il serait bon probablement d'approfondir ce qui existe, ce qui signifie faire une pause dans l'élargissement géographique de l'Europe et surtout de redéfinir les équilibres entre les pouvoirs de l'Union, ceux des États membres, entre le Conseil et la Commission. Peut-être que l'OSCE pourrait jouer un rôle d'aiguillon sur ce point, et si nous y parvenons, le Brexit aurait donc servi à quelque chose. Rapidement, le second point, c'est le sort des combattants étrangers, combattants djihadistes arrêtés au Levant, puisque vous le savez tous, en quelques décennies, le terrorisme islamiste a connu un essor considérable dans la zone OSCE. Nombre de ces combattants étrangers ont été tués sur les théâtres d'opérations ou faits prisonniers, non sans avoir commis des dégâts considérables. Après l'effondrement militaire de l'État islamique, le retrait anticipé américain au Levant se pose désormais avec davantage d'acuité la question du devenir de ces prisonniers étrangers en Syrie et en Irak, à la fois criminels, mais aussi véritables bombes à retardement. Alors que la plupart ont brûlé leur passeport, nous considérons qu'ils doivent être jugés sur les lieux de leur crime, dans le respect du droit et sans faiblesse. C'est, je crois, un devoir essentiel vis-à-vis des victimes, et en outre, aucun pays ne peut se reconstruire, se réconcilier, sans avoir soldé les comptes du passé. Vous le savez, en Irak, la transition est en cours, et les autorités irakiennes veulent juger les crimes commis dans leur pays avec l'appui de la communauté internationale. En Syrie, les combats durent, l'État est à terre et des groupes de prisonniers détenus, notamment par les Kurdes, risquent d'être échangés, dispersés ou remis à leur pays d'origine après Véchéos. Il ne suffit pas pour les pouvoirs publics et les nôtres de déclamer que des condamnations seront prises. Vous le savez, l'autorité judiciaire est indépendante, applique la loi, La difficulté consiste à réunir des preuves, produire des éléments irréfutables plusieurs années après les faits, à des milliers de kilomètres du lieu de leur commission, et alors que de nombreux témoins sont portés disparus ou morts dans la guerre. De même, ces prisonniers djihadistes présumés ne pourront pas être enfermés préventivement trop longtemps après leur retour dans l'attente d'un procès. Et par ailleurs, selon les États, les règles de procédure, les peines encourues divergent, tandis que la coopération judiciaire reste extrêmement limitée. Si certains prisonniers se retrouvaient très vite en liberté, faute d'éléments suffisants pour les poursuivre et les condamner, le danger serait immense pour les populations. Et je termine sur ce point, nos systèmes judiciaires, malgré des législations antiterroristes renforcées, ne semblent pas adaptés totalement à ces circonstances exceptionnelles, ni à cet afflux de prévenus qui, à mon sens, invite à un dispositif exceptionnel. C'est pourquoi je crois qu'une démarche collective, peut-être une initiative commune des pays concernés, ou un procès international de type Nuremberg, pourrait permettre d'envoyer un signal fort et de juger ces individus et leurs organisations sur le lieu de leurs crimes, dont certains, je le rappelle, relèvent de crimes de guerre, de crimes contre l'humanité et du génocide. Une procédure uniforme leur serait appliquée, moyens de recherche des preuves seraient centralisés, mis en commun pour une efficacité accrue. Enfin, il conviendra d'accompagner et de suivre sur le temps long, car c'est un autre sujet, mais avec beaucoup d'attention, les enfants mineurs de ces combattants étrangers à leur retour. Et là aussi, je crois que l'organisation comme la nôtre aurait un rôle à jouer sur ce point. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. Dear Pascal, looking up these issues. Now, Lord Boris, followed by Mr. Thompson.
Well, thank you very much indeed, Mr. President. I have to say to my fellow Vice President, Mr. Alizar, that I am desperately disappointed. I came all the way to Vienna in the hope that I wouldn't hear the word Brexit. However, I just think a couple of points, if I may. I don't want to get into a discussion about the merits or otherwise of the European Union. That's something, I think, for members of the EU itself, rather than the Parliamentary Assembly of the OSCE. I would say this, however, that there is a large body of opinion in the United Kingdom Parliament that wants to ensure that even if Brexit does take place, we keep the closest possible relationships with our current partners in the European Union, and that we play the role that we have played over the years in participating in missions, in our work in the Western Balkans, of helping hopefully the countries of the Western Balkans achieve their ambitions of membership of the European Union, and indeed other members, other states here who have ambitions in that direction. We certainly do not want to see the United Kingdom disengage itself from all those efforts. The other point that I would make is that current conversation seems to be very much that come the 29th of March, that if the United Kingdom does leave, that will be the end of the story. And we can all get on with the things that we really want to get on with doing. I just want to introduce a note of reality, and I fear maybe criticism of the government of the United Kingdom. If we leave on the 29th of March with the deal that the Prime Minister thinks she has, or with another deal, or no deal, the discussions will go on and on and on, either during the transitional period or without that transitional period, to establish the kind of long-term relationship which we want with our partners and friends in the European Union. And the great disaster facing politicians in the United Kingdom who are anxious for a good and lasting relationship is that we seem incapable of deciding amongst ourselves what that relationship should be, and we find it easier to blame our fellow members of the European Union for not coming up with an answer to the question that we posed without knowing what it was that we were going to do. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Dear Peter, now Mr. Tolstoy, followed by Senator
Большое спасибо, господин председатель, уважаемые главы делегаций. Я хотел бы привлечь ваше внимание к двум вопросам, которые непосредственно, как мне представляется, касаются нашей организации и которые было бы правильно и важно обсудить именно в ходе этой нашей встречи. Поскольку мы говорим о безопасности на континенте, я хотел бы заметить, что за то время, пока мы не встречались, произошло событие, которое непосредственно влияет на безопасность каждой представленной здесь страны. Я имею в виду односторонний выход Соединенных Штатов Америки из договора по ракетам средней и меньшей дальности. Казалось бы, эпоха, когда эти вопросы обсуждались, осталась далеко в прошлом. Наши американские коллеги, уверенные, что они победили всех и вся в холодной войне, уверенные, что они как диктовали, так и будут диктовать свою волю странам Европы, приняли одностороннее решение о выходе из этого договора. Хочу сказать, что это решение делает гораздо более опасной жизнь каждого гражданина каждой из стран Европы. Возможность размещения ракет в Европе, в пусковых установках, которые сегодня уже размещены в Румынии, Польше, в странах Балтии, ухудшает ситуацию с безопасностью моей страны. Чтобы вам было понятно, время подлета ракеты из Румынии до территории России составляет 10 минут. За 10 минут практически все мы находимся вот в такой ситуации, когда нужно принимать решение. Хочу сказать, что Россия не была инициатором этого договора, не будет разворачивать никакие противоракеты и другие средства в случае, если другая сторона, страны НАТО, воздержится от этого. Но хочу предупредить. Вчера президент моей страны был вынужден сказать о том, что те средства противодействия, которые сегодня есть в России, а именно ракеты, оснащенные ядерным двигателем неограниченного радиуса и времени действия, двигающиеся со скоростью 9 махов, долетают до мест базирования ракет противника не за 10 минут, а за 4 минуты. И, соответственно, как мне представляется, ситуация крайне неприятная, крайне опасная для всех стран, и, возможно, она выйдет за рамки наших с вами дискуссий об институциональных изменениях. Хотел бы также привлечь ваше внимание и ко второму вопросу, который нас беспокоит. Нам кажется, что господин председатель упомянул о своих усилиях по организации наблюдения за предстоящими выборами в Молдавии и на Украине. Нам кажется, что абсолютно идущее вразрез с практикой ОБСЕ решение в отказе наблюдения за выборами депутатом, избранным в России, на Украине, и фактически под это подведенный спешно законодательный запрет появления наблюдателей из России на территории Украины нарушает принципы ОБСЕ. Уважаемые дамы и господа, в этой организации было много стран, у которых были сложности
были конфликты, хотя я, например, не считаю, что у моей страны есть какие-то сложности с Украиной, это Украина считает, что у них есть сложности с Россией, но никогда это не выливалось в запрет наблюдения за выборами. Привлекаю ваше внимание в связи с тем, что считаю, это нарушает базовые принципы нашей с вами организации. Большое спасибо за внимание.
Thank you, Mr. Tolstoy. I guess we'll have some response to this later. Now I'd like to ask the floor, to take floor, Mr. Weaker, followed by Tojo-yan by me.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and my dear colleagues from the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly. My purpose in seeking recognition on the agenda this morning it was to report about two visits that our large delegation has had in recent days. First to the Munich Security Conference, and then with our friends on the island of Cyprus, in the Republic of Cyprus and in northern Cyprus. The President has said there might be an opportunity to respond at another time. I might just go ahead and do that now. Let me say this emphatically. The United States continues to hold strong interest in our relations with our European colleagues, our friends and partners in this organization and other organizations representing Europe. That is demonstrated by the 50 or so members of the House and Senate who were present in Munich at the Security Conference. We were involved in quite a number of discussions. These will continue, and we think they're valuable. I lead a very large delegation today to this winter meeting of the Parliamentary Assembly, and we hope we are making a statement that these relationships are important. We had a wonderful and informative visit to Cyprus. There are issues there that need to be resolved: freedom of navigation, economic interconnectivity. It is more significant than for the need for this island to be reunified. After all of this time, is it tolerable in the 21st, in the second decade of the 21st century, for this very solvable problem to go unsolved? And to the extent that there are negotiations next week between the leader of Northern Cyprus and the Cypriot President Nikos Anastasiadis, we wish them well. We wish the United Nations well as they lead in facilitating these negotiations. We visited the buffer zone. It's tragic after these decades to witness what is still there along the Green Line, the deterioration there in a great city of this area. We saw an ancient religious treasure ruined just last week by the elements. It was allowed to crumble right there along the buffer zone simply because neither side is unable to get in and fix a real tragedy there. It may be that we need to talk about this issue more, and I had a conversation with the delegation from Cyprus just a few moments ago. I really wish I wish the international community, I wish the European community, I wish OSCE would re-emphasize that this is an important issue and that it's solvable and should be solved. To my friend Mr. Tolstoy, let me just say, I am certainly aware that the withdrawal from the INF Treaty is not without controversy in Europe, around the globe, and frankly, within the United States Congress. We have Democrat and Republican senators on this delegation. We have Democrat and Republican representatives in this delegation today. And we would be happy to discuss this with members of this Parliamentary Assembly as this week progresses. I would simply point out that the President and the administration have sadly concluded that because of the violation of the terms of the INF Treaty by the Russian Federation, the best choice would be for the United States to withdraw. And so we'll continue to visit about that. And with regard to the election observers in the upcoming election in Ukraine, I find it a bit ironic that our friends from the Russian Federation are offended by what they term as a violation of the rules of the OSCE and not allowing the Russian observers. In light of what the gentleman from Russia calls difficulties that have occurred, differences that have occurred between Russia and Ukraine, let's not forget the decision by this Parliamentary Assembly about violations of the terms of the OSCE. We are on record as a Parliamentary Assembly that the Russian Federation, in invading Ukraine, in annexing a part of the sovereign nation in Crimea, is in violation of every single precept and provision of the Helsinki Accords. And so I have a hard time being terribly offended by Ukraine's unwillingness to allow visitors from a country that has invaded them and annexed their territory. I know this may be discussed later, but I thought I might as well offer my objection to any sense of equivalence with the fairly minor matter of election observers as compared to the invasion militarily of a sovereign country and member of our organization. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, dear Roger. I'd like to ask the next speakers also to keep time as short as possible, because you will have another chance to speak in the general, the committee's meeting, the United Committee's meeting, so there will be more time to speak. And also, please don't ask for different responses and answers now, because we're really running out of time. So we can do it later on in the meeting. As I already announced, it is Armenian head of delegation, followed by Azerbaijani head of delegation. Please.
Thank you. First, I would like to thank Mr. President George Zavitali for his comprehensive report on the activities of last year. Dear colleagues, current challenges of international politics make us continually struggle for clear, more secure, more democratic world. Political and economic transformation of different countries should be based on fundamental human rights and freedoms, granting people with the freedom to live, to educate, to create, and engage in business or politics. The Velvet Revolution, which took place in April 2018 in Armenia, was an important example of democracy in the world. Hundreds of thousands of citizens, flooding the streets, expressed their will to build a freer and more democratic country. It is particularly noteworthy that the political transition took place in a peaceful and non-violent manner, and the motto, revolution of law, love and solidarity, well explains the political environment in Armenia. Peaceful transition of power in Armenia became possible owing to political prudence and maturity of state institutions, opposition and civil society. It is worth mentioning that the Economist magazine recognized Armenia as the country of the year in 2018 for considerable advancements in democracy. Many international organizations and well-known media outlets consider the changes in Armenia as a significant example of victory of democracy in the world. In December 2018, early parliamentary elections were held in Armenia. All international organizations assessed elections were held with respect for fundamental freedoms in an atmosphere of broad public trust, open political debate and genuine competition. All political forces had wide opportunities to present their ideas and programs to the public, including in media, which contributed to the vibrant election campaign. The elections were yet another remarkable milestone in strengthening the democratic institutions, rule of law and human rights in Armenia. The elections marked the end of the process of political transformation, which demonstrated clear societal consensus on democracy, good governance and human rights. Mr. President, the parliament and the government in Armenia enjoy the high legitimacy and support of the people, and this provides us great opportunities for the implementation of democratic reform agenda. In this respect, upholding of human rights and fundamental freedoms and promotion of rule of law are the main pillars for us. We have broad public mandate for fight against corruption, strengthening good governance, and thus promoting economic development. Development and improvement of democratic institutions are the key elements for our daily activities. In this respect, we will closely cooperate with civil society, providing inclusiveness and high efficiency. Let me express my profound gratitude to the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly and OSCE institutions for the contribution they had in the parliamentary elections in Armenia. We are willing and open to continue our collaboration with interested OSCE participating states. We are convinced that the cooperation between OSCE Parliamentary Assembly and newly elected Parliament of Armenia is of great importance, and we stand ready to maintain strong engagement with the organization. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It was really your first intervention at this standing committee. I wish you to have more and constructive and bringing good results from Armenia, good news from Armenia, because your country really extracted a lot of potential with a fresh start, so we wish all the best to you and delegation in the country. And now, dear Bahar, is your turn now, and I think we will then finish.
Спасибо, уважаемый председатель, уважаемый глава делегации. Я хочу выразить свою благодарность за широкую деятельность и всесторонний доклад. Действительно, за короткий срок времени была проделана огромная работа во всем пространстве. Поразительно, какое количество проведенных встреч в разных уголках мира указывает на наше стремление интересоваться процессом, побывать в местах, обеспечить более координированное и результативное сотрудничество между нашими институтами. Очень значима модернизация нашей рабочей практики в рамках Парламентской ассамблеи ОБСЕ, желание повысить его эффективность. Конечно же, тяжелая нынешняя обстановка во всем мире, в том числе войны, миграция, порождаемые терроризмом проблемы, гуманитарные катастрофы, требуют добросовестного подхода к исходящим из нашего мандата обязательствам. И еще большей работы над тем, чтобы выполнялись все наши решения. Я думаю, Бюро, национальные делегации, официальные лица, секретариат, вся наша ассамблея должны действовать для того, чтобы еще больше приблизиться к этим целям. Уважаемый председатель, особой оценки заслуживает деятельность в сфере представления обсуждению насущных вопросов. Ваши неоднократные визиты, страдающие от конфликтов в регионе, в частности на Южный Кавказ, где путь к утерянным годами возможностям лежит только через конструктивный диалог при полном уважении к принципам, закрепленным Ельцинским заключительным актом. За мое многолетнее пребывание в парламентской ассамблее я замечала, что каверзность ситуации не давала нам всем возможности поверить в это. Позитивность последних заявлений участников переговорного процесса указывает на новый импульс, намерение подготовить народ к миру, начать сближение двух общин Нагорно-Карабахского региона Азербайджанской республики. Я искренне надеюсь, что представленные здесь новому составу делегации соседней страны не придется возвращаться на исходную точку прошедшего нами непростого пути. Мы, парламентарии, должны воспользоваться открывшимся окном возможностей для мирного исхода всех конфликтов в регионе УГС. Как отмечено в вашем докладе, уважаемый председатель, это в значительной степени способствовало бы укреплению нашей организации и сделало бы ее более заметной и эффективной. Спасибо вам за вашу проделанную работу и внимание.
Thank you very much. Of course, it's a pleasure and it's very important to hear from this region very constructive voices of leaders, and I think it will continue that way. Peace is most important in South Caucasus and for the region in whole. I think we have two more short interventions. One from Ukrainian delegation, Gerasimov, and the last speaker will be Margaret. You'd like to speak now? Or the next? Okay, then Gerasimov.
Thank you very much. Dear Mr. President, dear Mr. Secretary General, dear colleagues, the Berlin Declaration adopted in the previous annual session, and thank you very much to everybody who voted for it. We reiterated one more time our support for a settlement of the Russian-Ukrainian conflict based on the Minsk Agreement and the occupation of the Autonomous Republic of Crimea and the city of Sevastopol and Ukrainian Donbass. And Ukraine remains fully committed to the peaceful, political, diplomatic resolution of this conflict. And the most important, we are staying strongly committed to our obligation to the Minsk agreements. But unfortunately, others are ignored. Just a couple of examples. Last October, Ukrainian parliament adopted the special status draft law, again, strongly according to our obligations according to the Minsk agreements. On the contrary, Russian Federation demonstrating total disregard to the Minsk agreement, organizing fake elections on the occupied Donbass. After no ceasefire, truly speaking, almost every week, almost every day we have casualties, and not only militaries but also the civil population. You know that the situation, truly speaking, became even worse, because 25th of November it was open attack on Ukrainian vessels in the international waters. Can you imagine? Ukrainian vessels were going from Ukrainian Odessa to Ukrainian Mariupol in Azov Sea, and they were attacked in the international waters by the fire to kill. Fire to kill, and and the vessels and our sailors were captured. Also, 3 days ago, just 3 days ago, and many of members of this standing committee were during their trip in Ukraine on the special technical place of the special monitoring mission. We were watching on the long-range UAVs of our special monitoring missions. 3 days ago, long-range UAV was downed by Russians on the occupied territory. This is the real attention to the Minsk agreement. And now about elections. Truly speaking, it was very interesting to see the information from Russian Federation about international principles and OSCE norms. Because, as I understood, they suddenly realized that there are some norms and principles existing. But about our position of our country. Ukraine is fully committed to make every effort to ensure free, fair, and transparent elections in accordance with the national legislation and internationally recognized standards. Also, I want to stress your attention that we welcome as many international observers as possible to the extent permitted by law to monitor the course of national election proceedings. And Ukraine has always received the largest number in the OSCE area of international election observers. As Mr. President told, this OSCE mission, observation mission to Ukraine will be one of the biggest in the history of our assembly. But at the same time, please, I want to draw your attention that by legislation of Ukraine, Russia recognized as aggressor state and occupying power. And when we are speaking about that, let's see the reality. One country started hybrid war against the other country. One country started aggression against the other country. And at the same time, they want to send the observers to the elections. And truly speaking, if I see that some rules need to be corrected according to this reality, and I totally supported my colleagues who talked about that. And the last but not least, we analyzed the respective documents and to this issue and found that none of these documents related to the invitation to election observation contains the provision of invitation of all OSCE participating states. The section of the Code of Good Practice, often quoted by UTIR as an international standard, states that both national and international observers should be given the widest possible opportunity to participate in an election observation exercise. So, we, one more time, let me say that we invited all and as much as possible observers from all countries, excluding country which recognized by Ukrainian parliament and Ukrainian society as a country and aggressor. Thank you.
Thank you. And then last speaker for this session, for this part of this meeting, will be head of Cyprus delegation. Please.
Thank you. Irene Karlovides. I'm from the Cyprus delegation. I have to say that it is with great pleasure that I heard Senator Zwicker's intervention regarding his visit to Cyprus. It is also our own plea that negotiations for the solution of the Cyprus problem be immediately continued within the negotiating framework as set by the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres. We must maintain a constructive, positive attitude. The President of the Republic of Cyprus and the Turkish Cypriot leader, they have a meeting next week, and hopefully they find their way to reopen negotiation. Particularly, UN Security Council permanent members, some of them are present here today, and the EU must positively contribute to finding a solution in the benefit of the Cypriot people, Greek Cypriots and Turkish Cypriots. These 45 years of conflict must end. We need to find a solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, dear Irina. It was a very important talk. We have to find solutions for many questions and challenges that we have. Thank you all for your very interesting interventions. Of course, not everything is very, let's say, positive to hear. There are very difficult issues around us, and that's why we're so cautious, we're so, let's say, eager to work more together to overcome that in good faith, which is a principle of this organization. I would like to say that in a very short comment on one particular issue which concerns election observation of coming Ukrainian elections. So we are also acting. We are working. I will have direct also talks with the Russian delegation later on, also with the Ukrainian delegation, and I know many ideas. And of course, it's also my position that unfortunately we have a lot of grave breaches and violations of major Helsinki principles in this organization. But it's also important always to have in mind to stick on major lines and major fundamental issues that it's precious for us and it's valuable for this institution. So, from my side as a president, I will always be for rules. But in this particular case, we couldn't pretend that nothing is happening because it's an extraordinary situation now in Ukraine. So, I'm for more constructive and more, let's say, wise decisions, not to make from any side any step which will make the situation more complicated. So I think we will achieve some rational, let's say, solution of this current problematic issue. So with this, thank you very much. I would like to close this section of our agenda and ask Doris Burnett, our treasurer, to present her remarks or presentation. Please.
Vielen Dank, Herr Präsident. Liebe Kolleginnen und Kollegen, der schriftliche Report liegt Ihnen ja vor und deswegen brauche ich Ihnen auch nicht Wort für Wort vorzulesen. Aber lassen Sie sich wenigstens ein paar wichtige Abschnitte herausfiltern. Ich möchte darauf hinweisen, dass unser Büro sehr effizient arbeitet. Das führt dazu, dass der letztjährige Haushalt mit einem kleinen Überschuss von 26.000 Euro in die nächste Runde gehen konnte. Das heißt, wir haben sehr gut gewirtschaftet, sodass wir das Budget nicht bis zum letzten Cent ausführen. Das heißt auch, wir achten darauf, dass wir die Mitgliedstaaten bei der Beitragsberechnung nicht über Gebühr beanspruchen, sondern wir tun alles, um so preiswert wie möglich zu arbeiten. Ich möchte darauf hinweisen, dass wir jetzt zu den neuen Haushalt kommen. Der neue Haushalt, den werde ich Anfang des Jahres im April mit dem Büro besprechen. Wir werden uns überlegen, was zu tun ist. Trotzdem wir sehr gut gewirtschaftet haben, möchte ich heute schon darauf hinweisen, dass wir wahrscheinlich nicht hinkommen, eine kleine Anpassung vorzunehmen, einen etwas höheren Haushalt vorzuschlagen, denn wie Sie jetzt gehört haben aus den vielen Berichten unserer Mitglieder, unserer Vizepräsidenten, unserer Sonderbeauftragten, unsere Organisation ist erheblich noch unterwegs und arbeitet sehr, sehr effektiv. Das heißt, unsere Organisation wird zum ersten Mal sein, also nicht jetzt zum ersten Mal, sondern wird jetzt immer mehr sichtbar. Und das ist ganz wichtig, dass wir als Parlamentarier eine Rolle spielen. Deswegen bitte ich darum, wenn ich dann im April einen Vorschlag vorlege, den ich dann an den ständigen Ausschuss weiterleite, der sich dann überlegen kann, ob er damit einverstanden ist und bis zum 4. Juni seine Änderungsvorschläge liefern kann, bevor er dann an alle Mitglieder verteilt wird. Und dann bitte ich darum, dass Sie mithelfen, dass wir dieses kleine Plus, was wir brauchen im Budget, auch mit unterstützen. Ich möchte darauf hinweisen, dass wir die Organisation auch sonst unterstützen können, wie es zum Beispiel das dänische Parlament macht, indem wir kostenlos in seinen Räumen sein können. Oder wie das österreichische Parlament es macht, weil wir hier kostenlos sein können. Und die Heizung durch alles nutzen können. Ich meine, das sind alles Mittel, die wir dann nicht einsammeln müssen bei den Mitgliedstaaten. Oder das italienische Parlament, die uns 3 Mitarbeiter zur Verfügung stellen, sowohl für Kopenhagen als auch für Sie und jetzt auch Deutschland einen zusätzlichen Mitarbeiter abgeordnet hat, hier für das Büro in Wien. Deswegen, je mehr wir von unseren Heimatstaaten aus die Organisation unterstützen, muss das Budget aufgeblasen werden. Das zeigt sich, dass wir ja auch daran, dass wir immer darum bitten, dass Mitgliedstaaten auch Veranstaltungen ausrichten, wie die Wintertage, also die Herbsttagung, die Jahrestagen oder auch andere Veranstaltungen. Sie wissen ja, dass jetzt in diesem Jahr am 1. Mai-Wochenende wieder das Leinsweiler-Seminar gibt in Deutschland. Und ich freue mich, dass unsere Kollegin Pia aus Finnland angeboten hat, dieses Leinsweiler-Seminar auch mal in Finnland auf Arbeit zu machen. Solche Angebote helfen natürlich dann auch, die Kosten niedrig zu halten, aber das Allerwichtigste ist, unsere Arbeit effizient zu machen. Denn es nützt ja nichts, dass wir uns 3-mal im Jahr treffen, aber sonst nichts passiert, sondern wir müssen sagen, was wir wollen, wir müssen unsere Arbeit nach außen tragen, es muss gesehen werden, auch in der Presse vor Ort. Und dann werden wir auch in unseren eigenen Parlamenten vielleicht etwas ernster genommen und können sie mehr besetzen. Ich höre ja von dem, was Sie eben beigetragen haben, wie sehr Sie sich zu Hause engagieren. Und ich glaube, wenn dann die ganze Organisation deutlicher zutage tritt, ist das auch für Sie in den Heimatland eine große Unterstützung. In diesem Sinne bitte ich, dass Sie diesen Bericht zur Kenntnis nehmen und unterstützen, wenn wir dann etwas eine kleine Anregung des Beitrags geben. Vielen Dank.
Thank Thank you, dear Doris. Any questions, please, Pascal? Alizar from France.
Oui, Président, merci. Merci à Doris pour sa présentation extrêmement précise. Je voudrais quand même rappeler que notre Assemblée a adopté une résolution à Helsinki en 2015, à l'initiative de la France. C'est pour ça que je me permets de prendre la parole, qui fixait une contribution minimale des parlements nationaux à 10 000 €, sauf pour les pays dont le PIB par habitant ne dépasse pas les 3 000 €. Cela fait donc environ 5 ans maintenant, 4 ans, que la France, et entre autres, demande la révision de l'échelle des contributions, et il faut bien constater que cette résolution n'est pas appliquée. Et dans le débat qui est actuellement sur la révision des barèmes, il me semble délicat d'évoquer une augmentation du budget qui, sur le fond, est absolument nécessaire, tant qu'on n'aura pas réglé ce problème de contribution nationale. Voilà, c'était la simple remarque que je suis d'accord, Monsieur le Président. Et sur le fond, je suis d'accord qu'il faut se donner les moyens de nos ambitions, là n'est pas ma question.
Thank you. Any other question? I know that we discussed this issue of different offers many times, but there's a resolution and I think Doris will respond to that. There's no other questions.
Ja, wir würden das sehr gerne machen, aber das ist leider so nicht möglich. Wir müssen halt darauf achten, dass sich in der Tat diese Beitragssätze entsprechend ändern. Und man ist ja dabei, der slowenische Vorsitz arbeitet ja daran, eben diese Beitragssätze zu ändern. Und wir hoffen, dass nach diesen Gesprächen auch eine Lösung gefunden wird. Auch die Länder selbst, die betroffen sind, zum Beispiel, wenn ich das so jetzt so sagen darf, Verzeichnis. Aserbaidschan würde ja gerne, nicht Slowenien, die Slowakei hat den Vorsitz, Entschuldigung. Ja. Aserbaidschan würde ja auch gerne anpassen, aber die Länder, nicht alle Länder sind im Moment gewillt, den Beitragsschlüssel überhaupt zu öffnen und darüber zu reden. Deswegen muss man da auch vielleicht nochmal im Heimatland bei dem einen oder anderen Pascal, also ich würde mich sehr freuen, wenn Sie das unterstützen würden, auch in Ihrem Land, dass wir da eine Änderung des Beitragsschlüssels hinbekommen.
Okay, thank you very much. As far as no other questions to Doris, I'd like to say, responding a little bit maybe to what Pascal said. We had a lot of discussions on the topic, different tools offered by different leaders. France always was, let's say, front runner in this discussion, and we know also that very recently, also in permanent council, there was quite hard debate on the scales in the OSCE as an organization. But to implement this resolution, it needs more efforts to work with particular countries, maybe on a bilateral basis. I mean, we will continue to do that, but as Doris said, so far is an agreement with all of them. I personally consider that it's achievable and it's quite realistic, and we should bear in mind that with those demands, let's say also from the delegations and from the countries, and demands of the current situation that forces us, to be very active everywhere, to work with the committees, with the ad hoc committees, with the missions in different places, to tackle the conflicts and then to boost or to foster economic cooperation, human rights. I mean, all of these, it needs more resources. And this is specifics of this organization. We are very active. We have big portfolio, but we have very small purse. We have a very small, let's say, financial means. So with this, I'd like to thank Doris and all the team, the Secretariat, also Roberto, Marietta, Gustavo, of course, and everybody who works on budget and make sure that we are not confronting gaps. Everything is more or less, covered and balanced. I'm not talking about myself. I'd like to repeat that President and no any officer is not covered not supported, all the budget is allocated, dedicated to the staff support. And I fully agree with Doris that we need also some different, let's say, out of box thinking that there are different ways to support a parliamentary assembly. Hosting meetings, calling people, helping in other ways, extra budgetary, maybe initiatives, and we're happy to work with all the delegations. And thank you very much again, Doris, for your very good work. And what's most important in this field, which we achieved on a very high level, this is transparency, and it's a fairness, and it's always here. Any questions that are answers. So thank you for your cooperation, and now also important to report of our Secretary General. So all the work we are discussing here is a great part of his field, let's say, his domain. So let's listen to Roberto, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Welcome to all of you. Welcome to one of the most important meetings we have during the year. This is the meeting where we interact with the governmental side of the OSCE. It's a great opportunity for you to meet with your ambassadors, with members of the Permanent Council, the members of the OSCE autonomous structures. It's where the Parliamentary Assembly and the governmental dimension get together. I also want to welcome all the new head of delegations. I will not name them all. The President named them all, but welcome. I think you will find in this assembly a place where you can do a lot of good work in the international arena, and it's a great opportunity also for you to meet your colleagues and create personal rapport with your colleagues. The relationship between the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly and the governmental side has never been as high as it is today. Your speech, Mr. President, at the ministerial meeting in Milano was very welcomed by many ministers, and it was not just pleasantries or trying to be nice to you, but many ministers approached us and they said they like the parliamentary assembly. It shows an advanced posture, a posture of a mature assembly who wants the organization to be strengthened, the organization to be able to deliver. So this is a very good sign for the relationship between the parliamentary assembly and the governmental side. And it was confirmed also last month when you delivered here your speech to the Permanent Council. For the second time in a row, and now it's an established practice, the President of the Parliamentary Assembly speaks to the Permanent Council at the beginning of the year, immediately after the head of the governmental side, the Chairman of the Office, makes his priority. This is a very good practice because you have an opportunity at the beginning of the year to give your report, to give your ideas for the next 12 months, and then in the autumn, after the annual session, you come and present what are the priorities of the annual session of the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly for the OSCE Ministry. Thank you all members for your participation. 2018 was a record year for the OSCE participation, members participation in election observation. We've never had so many members participating in election observations, but also in all the enormous amount of activities that we've done in the community work, in the statutory meetings, in the visits of our very, very active 24-hour vice president. This has been a year of a lot of activities. I think it's also an exceptional period in the OSCE region. So I know we are very active, but I think we need to be very active because there are a lot of issues that need to be tackled. And I'm proud of the fact that many of you can dedicate time to the work in the international community. I will spare you to go through my entire report. It's distributed, it's on the table, it was distributed a week ago. You can see all the many activities that the International Secretariat has carried out in the service of parliamentarians from Bishkek to today, because this report is about my activities and the activities of my colleagues in the International Secretariat from Bishkek to today. So I will not go through that, but I will focus mainly my report here on the priorities of the Slovak Chairmanship. The Slovak Chairmanship put at the center the people as their first priority. I think this is music for the ears of parliamentarians. You are the ones who represent the people. So you are the ones who have that sensitivity to make sure that international bodies, when they work, they deliver for the people. So this is a great idea that the Slovak Chairmanship has had. I must say, Minister Lajčák, who you will meet soon in 2 hours downstairs, was very sincere in putting this as a priority for the Slovak Chairmanship, because it was also the priority of the UN General Assembly while Lajčák was President of the General Assembly. And on a personal note, Lajčák was also ambassador in Belgrade in 2003 when he visited me in South Serbia, he always told me, Roberto, you have to focus to the people, you have to deliver to the people. So this is something that the Slovak Championship has put at the center of this organization, and it marries very well the priorities of our parliament. The second priority is the prevention of conflict mediation. This is again what we do on our day-to-day activities with all the visits, with the meetings, the president activities. I must say that tomorrow in the first committee you will hear also from the OSCE what are the tools that the OSCE has given itself to deal with the so-called frozen conflicts. You will hear about 5+2 in Moldova, the Parallel Working Group for Ukraine. You will hear about the Minsk co-chairs and Minsk group for the Azerbaijan and Armenian conflict of 1995. So here all these tools that the OSCE has given itself to deal with conflicts. The idea of this session is also for you to hear what the OSCE is doing, and so for you to see what is the niche for parliamentarians on how we can interact with what the OSCE governmental side is doing. There's no point in us reinventing the wheel or coming up with new mediation platforms or new activities if the OSCE is already put in place some tools, but it's important that parliamentarians speak into these tools and add the value that leaders from parliament can bring. I must say, besides those tools, there's also a lot of silent diplomacy. If I can just give you an example, on the 2nd of March, next a blogger in Azerbaijan will be released in prison. This is also a lot of work that has been done by our Vice President, Zagulir, but by President Sarateli in silent diplomacy, in discussions with the leadership in Azerbaijan, in discussions with the current Prime Minister, who was the head of the cabinet of the President of Azerbaijan. In silence, discussed, requested that this issue is addressed when to visit the person in prison, and now the person gets released. So these are sometimes tools that we also have, silent diplomacy, besides of course the normal tool, which is statements, criticizing, but we in the OSCE have all these kind of tools to deal with issues, and sometimes we use the heart, sometimes the carrot, sometimes silence also helps in solving issues. So thank you very much for your visit. The third priority of the Slovak Chairmanship is multilateralism. Your presence here, the large delegation from the US delegation, also testifies to the fact that there is an interest from elected politicians to reinforce multilateral formats. I know in Europe we have a lot of problems, we have elections soon, more and more national countries are inward looking. Across the Atlantic also there is more and more interest in focusing on the domestic agenda, but it's important to keep alive the multilateral sector, and your presence last year, your presence this year already, testifies to the fact that members of parliament believe in using multilateral tools to deal with issues which are multinational. You cannot deal with the issue of the challenges of migration, movement of people, terrorism, others, cyber threats through a national only perspective. We have to have multilateral formats. And so it's very important that you members of parliament ensure that those who are, let's say, functionaries of international organizations use these tools effectively. And you have to use your, let's say, your strength to make sure that the functionaries are delivering on these issues on the move. Those that I mentioned about visibility, this was, for the Bureau members who are here, was also an issue that was debated in Milano at the last Bureau meeting. Many members have asked us to increase the visibility of the OSCE, increase the visibility of what you do, because it's important also for you when you go back to your constituents to say, why did you go to Tajikistan or to Azerbaijan? What is it in for us? You know, so you need to also be able to sell what you do on the international arena to the national constituents. But in order to be more visible, I think we also need to have the OSCE name to be more visible. Sometimes the OSCE name is not that visible. So we have recently given, I personally handed over to Minister Lajcak last week, a project proposal that would allow the chairman in office in December at the next ministerial meeting to present in concrete ways, maybe through a video or through the presence of some people, who are the beneficiaries of the OSCE project. of all that we hear, and because there are people in flesh and blood who have benefited from the work of the OSCE, which are totally unknown to the ministers. I have been in ministerial meetings. I've been privileged sometimes to sit with them. Sometimes they come to these meetings in between NATO ministerial meeting, a European Council meeting. They read a statement prepared by the ambassadors, but they don't really have the focus on what they're doing in that OSCE context. So it's very important that at the ministerial meeting, when you have the attention of all the ministers, that the German in office can present to the ministers, so at least we get the attention of the ministers, that the OSCE is doing some concrete work, some visible work. I would like to give you a concrete example of beneficiaries of the OSCE work. In this room, I don't know, we have a colleague here, Sheriff Abdili. I don't know, Sheriff, you are in the room, please stand up. Sheriff is a mission member from the OSCE mission in Serbia. He's worked for 18 years in the OSCE mission in Serbia. There is peace and stability in southern Serbia. There is no longer a conflict. Thanks to the work of individuals like this, you will never hear about Sheriff Abdili on the news or on the main network. But it's him and many others who have ensured, for example in southern Serbia, that we have a multi-ethnic police component in southern Serbia, that we have multi-ethnic self-governance in southern Serbia, that the Serbian government and the Albanian community have worked together to improve the situation in southern Serbia, and that the Serbian government is very constructively engaged with the Albanian community to create the conditions of peace in that region of southern Serbia. This is not in use anymore. For 18 years there's been peace, there's been harmony there is integration of minorities in the state structures of Serbia, but this is thanks to individuals like him. So what I would like Minister Lajčák to do is to use that example, but the examples that we have in Azerbaijan, in Armenia, in Tajikistan, the Bishkek Academy, the Tetovo University. There's so many projects that the OSCE does, that the OSCE missions, institutions, and the secretariat. So in order to bring to the attention of the ministers, the OSCE delivers, the OSCE does things concrete for the day-to-day life of ordinary. So this concludes my report, Mr. President. Now, with your permission, if you allow me 2 more minutes, I would like to take the personal notes. So, after careful considerations and consultation with the leadership, Doris Barnett, the Treasurer, President, Lord Bones, and the members of the Bureau, and least but not last, consultations with my family and the other bosses. I think Ilan is also here and the children. We discussed, I don't know which one is the more difficult to deal with, which bosses, but not the children. But we have come to the conclusion that I would like to continue on this work for the second year. Now, I will not go through all the achievements that we made in the last years that I've been in this position, but I just want to mention a few. We have strengthened the political part of this organization, as I said before, and now the assembly is a self-standing assembly respected by the government. We have created a lot of committees on terrorism and migration, answering to very important political challenges. And we have created for this assembly instruments, tools that will complete work. I mean, you have seen yesterday the Committee on Terrorism and today the Committee on Migration. How much work they do complete is not simple visits or tourism. It's actually concrete visits that go in there to solve problems and to bring parliamentary contribution to the solution. We have had the highest number of participants in our meetings. We have secured venues for this parliamentary assembly. This is a parliamentary assembly which doesn't have a parliament like the Strasbourg Council of Europe. We don't have any assembly. We count on participating states who are willing to host our meetings. And it is unprecedented, but now we have venues until 2022, and instead of us going to these bad countries to host our meetings, it's countries now coming to us and say, okay, so we would like to host this winter meeting or this autumn meeting or this annual session. So this is another sign that there is a great interest in the participants. We have had a budget last year. I will say this with a little voice, especially in these rooms, because the OSCE doesn't have a budget, and it's a challenge in passing a zero nominal growth budget. Our budget has been passed last year, and there's been a lot of support, as you heard also from the Treasurer, to even look at additional resources. We very much appreciate this. Of course, we don't want to be selfish. We are happy that you're giving us additional resources, but please also convince your constituents and your ministries back at home to approve the OSC budget, which is very important for the organization. We have done some internal reforms. I don't want to get into many details. You've already seen before that now we have staffing rules and regulations. We have administrative rules so that you can see that our external auditor can audit our accounts according to some set of rules that you have adopted. We have also done a lot of external reforms. The election report that we will discuss later, the new practices in this assembly to have more time for debate. This is a very good outcome. But two issues I'm very proud of. One is the positive atmosphere that we've managed to create in these parliaments. You've heard before, of course, there are many problems, there are many challenges, but at least in this forum, we sit together, we talk, we criticize each other, but we also try to create possibilities for personal relations, which can be also conducive to the solution of the problems. And last but not least, on my first election in Helsinki, I promised that this international secretariat would ensure that the leadership of this assembly belongs to politicians, and that the politicians in all institutions, the president, the bureau, the standing committee, as the leadership of the assembly decides which is the direction where we go, and the secretariat is here at the service of this political leadership. So we go forward with that. Is to that political leadership that I now hand over the renewal of the mandate, and I hope that I will be able to serve you for the next. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Roberto. I think we don't have any, let's say, planned or prepared speakers list here. I know that, of course, it's very important for everybody to listen to the Secretary General. Established a portion of our, let's say, successful or close to successful. Sometimes we're not successful, unfortunately, in the job, but it's our work. So, I'd like to ask you maybe to limit questions or time, or speaking time. I understand that it's an important issue, especially the last part, which I myself not questioning at all, but I also will I will make short remarks on Roberto's proposal or his, let's say, testimony. I think Margareta first, and then I will make Sofia, and Marquis, Zai. Please, short and sweet and nice.
I will put some chocolate
That's why.
on my
That's
voice.
Grazie.
Grazie signor Presidente, signor Segretario Generale, veramente penso che pensiamo tutta la delegazione svizzera che avere un segretario generale come Roberto Montella che sia tanto attivo, tanto polivalente, tanto dinamico, capacissimo e che ci serve ottimamente è veramente una grande fortuna di quale godevo all'Osce qua. Grazie Roberto e ci penseremo quando si tratterà di ricondurre, di rinnovare il tuo mandato, evidentemente. Herr Präsident, ich wechsle in eine zweite Landessprache der Schweiz. Und zwar freut es uns wirklich auch, und da möchte ich den Bericht und die Tätigkeiten von Roberto Montella auch entsprechend würdigen. Du hast gesagt, Roberto, dass die Zusammenarbeit zwischen PV-OSZE und OSZE noch nie so gut war wie heute. Und das können wir wirklich mit Überzeugung bestätigen. Du hast Beispiele gebracht. Und weil du ja auch den direkten Kontakt am besten hast mit den Regierungen, Verwaltungen auf der operativen Stufe, erlaube ich mir, daran zu erinnern, dass die OSZE als regionale Plattform gerade jetzt in der angespannten sicherheitspolitischen Lage, in der wichtigste Verträge leider gekündigt wurden, in unserer heutigen Lage, in der wir und auch unsere Bevölkerungen sich fürchten und zu Recht fürchten vor einem neuen Wettrüsten, möchte ich ganz kurz daran erinnern, dass die OSZE bestehende Instrumente, bestehende Prinzipien noch viel besser nutzen kann, gerade auch im Bereich der Rüstungskontrolle. Es geht um 3 Instrumente und Prinzipien. Es geht erstens um die vertrauens- und sicherheitsbildenden Maßnahmen. Die werden oft nur mit dem Wiener Dokument in Verbindung gebracht, sind aber de facto vielmehr eine Haltung gegenüber dem Umgang mit Sicherheit. Sie sind auf dem Verständnis aufgebaut, dass wir ohne gegenseitiges Vertrauen keine Sicherheit erreichen und ohne Sicherheit kein friedliches Verhältnis geschaffen werden kann zwischen den OSZE-Staaten, die in ganz verschiedene sicherheitspolitische Strukturen Europas eingebunden sind. Wir haben zweitens die Verifikationstätigkeiten der Teilnehmerstaaten, ein Netzwerk direkten Kontaktes zwischen den Militärangehörigen unserer Teilnehmerstaaten, das sehr gut funktioniert. Und wir haben drittens, und damit schließe ich, wir haben den strukturierten Dialog, der gerade in den vergangenen Jahren Gelegenheit gegeben hat, auch heikle Probleme anzusprechen und der auch zum Beispiel dazu dienen kann, die Gefahr von militärischen Zwischenfällen zu verhindern. Besten Dank, Herr Präsident. Nutzen wir diese Instrumente und schauen wir als Parlamentarierinnen und Parlamentarier darauf, dass unsere Regierungen und unsere Verwaltungen diese Instrumente und Prinzipien jetzt mehr denn je voll nutzen. Besten Dank.
Thank you. Now Sofio Cazarava, followed by Marcus Boris.
Thank you, Roberto, for the report, which is obviously very interesting, and not just interesting, but forward-looking, which is very important in sense for your steps for increasing the ability of this organization, because it does deserve to have more visibility because of the work that it does. And in fact, thank you for deciding to renew your mandate as Secretary General of this organization, because incidentally, this is not for the first time that I'm saying that as a member of other parliamentary assemblies, I keep highlighting that OSCE-PA stands out as truly open, responsive, very well organized, and innovative organization, and this is largely due to your efforts, your work, and the work that your team does, and the team that stands by you. So I would say that no one is indispensable, but there are some people who you belong to this category, and that's you, Roberta, and I would like to thank you very much for all your efforts, not least because you also, in addition to everything else, continuously encourage gender balance at all levels, and I'm looking forward to working with you all for the next 2 years. That's my mandate, not yours. And wish you all success to the Secretary, to you and colleagues in this room. Thanks.
Dear Marcus, please, and then Mazari.
President, I'll be very, very brief. I just want to share with our colleagues here my experience. I am 10 years now a member in this parliamentary assembly. I'm going on within this parliamentary assembly. And I've experienced the different phases that we've passed at different levels, especially with the governmental structure. I must say that it is due to Roberto's work that this situation has changed. The Parliamentary Assembly is now facing new challenges that it is quite well respected and accepted in the governmental structure. And I must say that again, there are innovations during these years that have happened, especially with the creation of ad hoc committees, which they have given a new boost in the work being carried out by the Parliamentary Assembly, but also raise the visibility of this assembly, but OSCE as an international organization. I'm not saying that we are at the level that we want to proceed and we want to arrive. A lot of work needs to be carried out. We need to think media strategies that will show the work that it is being carried out in this assembly. I must say that it's a great fortune that we have George as president of the assembly, who is, really active on that. And the combination of the two of you is a really great fortune for this assembly. Now I want to thank you for the decision that you stayed with us. And most of all, I want to thank your wife for joining this decision, who is really suffering from this activity. And thank her for supporting you in this decision. So, again, thank you very much for the decision and the candidacy. We hope we're going to be working on that tempo for the next coming years.
Thank you very much, Marcus. Design and we have to...
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, dear Secretary General, dear friends. Since it is my first speech, Mr. President, I'd like to also thank you for the tremendous work that you carried out for the last 3 months since Bishkek session. I really appreciate that the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly has been so active in many spheres of our conflicts. I also like to join in thanking our friend, Secretary General Roberto Montilla, for his really very professional management skills. My friend Marcus Voridis mentioned here that he is here for 10 years. He is getting older, but I would say that I am oldest as Marcus Voridis. I am here for 40 years. So I know I have seen many people, many faces, many challenging issues, and also many, I would say, injustice. But since assuming the office as a Secretary General, Roberto Montilla, I would say without any exaggeration that many things have been changed in good and in positive direction. I think Secretary General is being supported by our Assembly for sure, for many reasons. First reason is that we have already witnessed that how he is a good team builder, and he organized the work of the Secretariat in better in professional manner. And also, I would specifically want to mention, that was not mentioned here by my colleagues, that the work of the Secretariat has been eliminating totally any type of double standards and selections, which is very important for the unity and credibility of the Assembly. This is why, Roberto, I think this type of things and your activity should be continued. Also, of course, it would be great, and it should be noted that we have now carried out certain type of reforms in our Secretariat. I think we have a good team, together with President and Bureau members who are really key to support these reforms in modernizing our activities, in confirming or bettering the activities of the Assembly, and also being ready for any emergency and responding to any emergency that occur in our activities. So it is very important that we are timely managing all these, let's say, challenging issues. Another important thing I think has to be mentioned here that our Assembly could be able to establish good relationship with our international partners, such as Council of Europe, European Parliament, NATO Parliamentary Assembly, which is really pretty much appreciated. And also the institutions of OSCE institutions also have been coming together under the umbrella of the Assembly for many, many important issues and the challenging agenda of the current OEC area. So I think all these things, of course, make us possible to say that the Secretary General mandate should be renewed. And of course, I really support, and I do believe that all my colleagues will support the mandate of our Secretary General for the second term. So this is why I think it is in the best interest of our Assembly and Mr. President, I also thank you that you supported this, the idea, this proposal. I think we have to be united and to get united for the best interest and for the unity of our Assembly, of course, and for also tackling the challenging issue that stands in the agenda of the Assembly. Thank you very much.
Thank you, dear Azai, Lord Boris, and Pascal Alizard, and last speaker.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Like other speakers, I want to pay tribute to the Secretary General and the work that he has done. He made promises to the Standing Committee of the Bureau when he assumed office that he has fulfilled those promises. I think it's entirely appropriate that he should be seeking a renewal of his mandate, and indeed we as members would wish to support that, because whilst many things have happened, it is, as the Secretary General himself has said, an ongoing process. And we want to ensure that that process continues. Roberto, you have transformed relationships between, I think, not just the other institutions of the OSCE and the different organizations, but also the relationships, if I may say so, with the members of the Assembly and the Secretariat itself, which is very, very important. So I have no doubt at all that the tributes that have been paid to your work this morning are more than deserved, as indeed my colleague from Greece, the tribute to your wife for allowing you to do this. However, there is just one aspect which I would like to draw the attention of the Standing Committee. In our enthusiasm, we mustn't forget that this is a rule-based organisation, and we are committed to openness and transparency, and the rules of the Assembly require that on appointment, election, reappointment, notice is given on intentions that is to happen. And therefore, it's an obligation on the Bureau to do this. It's not for a decision, it's in the rules. So, in our without in any way damping our enthusiasm, I just would like to make it clear that following this meeting, we should issue, on behalf of the Bureau, a notice advising that the Secretary General is seeking a review of his mandate, emphasising the work that he has done, the ongoing work, but in accordance with the rules and in the interest of transparency, we give notice in the appropriate way of that, which so that if and the unlikely event, but if anybody wishes to be considered, they can be considered. And I would think that that notice should ensure that any intentions to be considered should be in the hands of the President before the Bureau meeting. That will enable the Bureau in April to meet, make a recommendation to the Standing Committee. I emphasise this is I am in no way suggesting that we should do other than review the mandate. But we must trade true to the rules and true to transparency, if only to ensure that Roberto, when he is, as I hope, reappointed, there will be nobody and no delegation that will be able to point a finger and say this was not done openly or in accordance with the rules.
Thank you, dear Peter. Pascal, please.
Oui, Monsieur le Président. Mon intervention sera très courte et dans la suite de ce qui vient d'être dit par mes collègues, moi ça ne fait que 5 ans que je siège ici, mais j'ai effectivement vécu comme d'autres la transition avec l'arrivée de Roberto. Beaucoup de choses ont été dites sur son rapport et sur le contenu, sur le fond du rapport, que je partage complètement. Je n'interviendrai pas là-dessus, mais je voudrais plutôt saluer la forme avec laquelle nous travaillons depuis maintenant quelques années. C'est beaucoup plus de dynamisme, je crois que ça a été démontré dans les différents rapports, mais c'est aussi beaucoup plus de transparence, et je partage les propos de Lorbonès il y a quelques instants, et c'est aussi beaucoup plus de démocratie dans notre fonctionnement interne. Ça mérite d'être rappelé. Je crois que ces efforts, c'est aussi avec pour objectif d'avoir plus de reconnaissance internationale, et là c'est un travail qu'il faut continuer. Je voudrais dire aussi que les sujets dont nous parlons actuellement ne sont pas plus faciles que ceux qui étaient traités précédemment, là encore ce matin, mais je crois pouvoir dire que ces sujets sont traités peut-être avec plus de sérénité, avec plus de culture, ce qui n'empêche d'ailleurs pas de les traiter avec toute la rigueur nécessaire. Et je crois que cela se fait dans un bon esprit de travail d'équipe, et comme ça a été dit aussi, avec un excellent binôme de tête entre toi, Georges et Roberto. Donc je considère aujourd'hui et ce matin que c'est plutôt une bonne nouvelle pour nous que Roberto ait pris la décision de pouvoir continuer son mandat, et comme les autres collègues, c'est une option que je soutiendrai avec beaucoup de plaisir.
Merci beaucoup, cher Pascal, and please.
Jetzt eine Zusammenfassung wäre extrem schwierig. Aber ich finde, man erkennt nur, was in einem Menschen steckt, wenn man ihn herausfordert. Und es war eine riesen Herausforderung, als Roberto zum ersten Mal war. Und er hat selbst nicht so recht daran geglaubt, ob er dieses große Paket kann. Er hat es bestens getan, wie er praktisch immer wieder beweist. Aber du kannst es nicht packen ohne eine starke Frau, die dir auch die Zeit dazu gibt. Aber noch mindestens genauso wichtig ist es, dass du ein tolles Team hast, das mit dir zusammen die Arbeit bewältigt. Alleine klingt das doch gar nicht. Du hast hier ein tolles Team auch geformt. Und man merkt es an der Art und Weise, wie ihr zusammenarbeitet, dass es eben nicht nur bei dir gefunden hat, sondern auch im Rest des Teams. Und das tut der Organisation, das tut uns allen. Und soweit möchte ich dir danken, möchte aber an der Stelle auch mal ganz ausdrücklich allen danken, die hier vorne sitzen, die hinten sitzen, die alles organisieren. Und das macht ihr ja alles zusammen. Und da können Sie auch ein Stück stolz darauf sein, dass wir die richtigen Leute an der richtigen Stelle haben. Ich würde mich sehr freuen, wenn du wieder gewählt wirst. Ich unterstütze das 100% und hoffe, dass die anderen das genauso sehen.
Well, thank you all, dear friends and colleagues. Before Roberto will say his, let's say, final remarks for this session, of course, I thought it's maybe time to serve champagne. Very, very nice speeches here. And as a Georgian, but customary for us to have toast type things, but it's based on reality. It's not to flatter anybody, to please anybody. I think that's you're reflecting that realities that we see. I'm a person who is working with Roberto, let's say 24 hours. And this morning I was more than convinced, of course. 24 hours, one film, of course, part of this work, but I was more than convinced this morning when I posted in our internal chat one requirement to get some version of one document, and it was at 5 in the morning or very, very late night. And the first who responded to that, it was Roberto. So that's also showed that a small example, competence, readiness, enthusiasm, dedication to the work. What I noticed in the last few years when we are in this capacity together to lead this organization with your support, of course, with your permission and backing, that here we don't see, any personal attempt to fulfill, let's say, the personal ambitions of the Secretary General, but really to be a person who's moving the organization, who's trying to accommodate to all of you, not only the President. We couldn't do anything without staff, this very well. So we have our own capacities, but in this work, you need everyday support, you need everyday expertise, you need everyday readiness to be, also to survive from the emergencies. We have a lot of time around the year and all the time. So, of course, I expected your reactions, and I myself are more than confident that we have to continue in this spirit. And I'd like to congratulate Roberto with his reflections and the assessment that you heard. I would also myself be happy to continue 5 more years with you in this capacity, but presidential term is not that long, and it lets me only one term, but no more. So you are not lucky in this. But the organization is lucky to have, let's say, executive officer of this organization with his whole team to be very effective and very efficient. And we have a very critical, and we're doing a lot of critical analysis, and we're not ever self-complacent and we say it's self-satisfactory. We need where our weaknesses, and believe me, I'm very frank. We have very critical thinking. What's better for this organization for future, for years to come, to maintain that credibility and authority that we achieved today. So thank you very much. And Lord Bonas already stated results of our also internal discussion in the committee of rules and procedures. We have legitimate right as a standing committee, according to our rules, to renew without contest, without international, let's say, call or something like that. We have this right according to the rule, but there are also requirements in the rule, and a very concrete requirements for the sake of transparency and for the sake of democratic, let's say, principle to spread this message, and as it happened also several times, and many other organizations do it now and do it more transparently. So as Lord Bonas said, we will very in the coming days just to send out a letter informing also the public announcement that there will be, let's say, a re-election or renewal of this post, but I think attitude and disposition of leadership and of the standing committee members is very clear. So thank you, Roberto, for what you did, and once again, congratulations on a very good result of the work, which I heard myself and convinced myself.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think I will take a blood test to see the level of sugar after this discussion. But Joseph Martin, thank you very much for your comments. I just want to make 3 very short points. One, many people have thanked me for the decision to continue. The decision is yours, and this is my intention, my desire to continue in this position. It will be the Bureau who will decide, and then the Standing Committee who will ratify the decision. So it's at this point in time, there's also only my desire. It's up to you, because this is the point. The leadership of this assembly belongs to you, so you are the one to decide, yes or no. So, Lord Bonas, you made a reference to the rules. Absolutely. I think we have to be as transparent as possible. I have made it a point of my tenure to introduce rules where there were no rules. There were no statute rules, and I said there must be rules. The principle of hiring and firing staff is not my cup of tea. I want to have basic rules on how to conduct the staff. I want to have rules that decide how the administration is run and what are the financial guidelines of the organization. I took the OSCE on financial rules and regulations and made it the CPA. So absolutely it would be contradictory to my history if for my own renewal I would try to sneak in and try to get a renewal and say, okay, well, everybody agrees here, let's just do it and forget about the rules. Absolutely not. We have to follow the rules to the letter, and I think you indicated there will be a notice sent internally, externally next week, and the Bureau meeting on the 8th of April will decide on the renewal of these candidates, or if there are any interested parties on who should be the candidate presented to the Standing Committee on the 4th of July, and then on the 4th of July, this body, the Standing Committee, will make a decision on whether the Bureau invitation is acceptable to you or not. So absolutely maximum respect for the rules. This is my desire and my interest. And the third, but not least important point, many of you are underlining, this is indeed a team effort. I mean, this is not a one-man show. You have seen my colleagues, they are working 24/7 themselves as well, and they sometimes not are as visible as I am because I am traveling to the president. But it is indeed a team effort, and the nice words that you've expressed for me today, I think it's nice words that could be definitely shared with all the colleagues in this team. We work as a team, and we work together in order to serve this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. With this, we will conclude this chapter in our agenda, and let's move on. So now report the chairperson of the subcommittee of the rules of procedure and working practices, located bonus, and consideration of the amendments to the rules of procedure. But before I ask Lord Boris to present his report, we'll have one procedural issue. We'll consider an amendment to Rule 24 of our rules of procedure. You know, it's a very well-known question. It's a clarification of our rules of procedure in a very specific paragraph, which was raised during Berlin session. About the validity of signatures. And it was, you remember, quite intensive dialogue or discussion with Russian delegation. I'd like to say that it was raised issue, we responded to that. That was quite well then designed, and it's a great, let's say, wording. And I'd like to say that there's no objection to that. We can proceed with this. There's no anybody's against it. Because, as I said, it's quite fair, and now our rules are much more clear with any other, let's say, possible interpretation. It's a quite clear provision now. So no other visits been adopted. Thank you very much. And now I'd like to give floor to Lord Boris to present also amendment and his presentation.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. President, and thank you to the members for agreeing that change to Rule 24, which I think is very important. Mr. President, my report has been circulated, and it gives the history of the various meetings that we have had, both as a Rules Committee and as a working group of the Bureau, and indicates the number of issues which have been considered and indeed are still under consideration. What I would like to do is not go through that, but merely to draw at this stage today members' attention to the highlighted items on the second page of the decisions of the Bureau in Milan in December, where we sought to answer a number of questions. How we can make the most effective use of our time at meetings and ensure the relevancy of discussions. And we agreed that, so far as this committee and the Bureau are concerned, we should try and timetable our discussions so that we didn't start running out of time, that the number of items on the agenda should be reduced, that some important items which only get cursory discussion here or in the Bureau should go to the plenary or a committee. We also considered, because I think there's some demand, whether or not the rules should be changed to allow the general committees to meet during the autumn meeting. You will see from the rest of the report that we've already made some changes to the way the autumn meeting is designed to allow us to have the discussions here from field missions and different institutions. So that is all underway. We hope that reports to committees, the Bureau, the Standing Committee, can be in writing to reduce the time. How do we develop a strong political agenda for the Assembly? Well, we think that the role of the Bureau and the Standing Committee ought to be reviewed, because in the past there has been enormous duplication. The agenda of one is almost indistinguishable from the other. The only common thing is that we both ran out of time. So again, reducing the number of items is important. We want to find specific places to perhaps discuss the continuing conflicts rather than them having to be introduced by the members participating states concerned into a general debate, irrespective of the subject. And we want to try and increase the political impact and visibility of our work. Now, clearly some of that is down to us in our own national parliaments, although it is actually quite difficult. But a key suggestion from the Bureau, recommendation from the Bureau, is that in addition to the very good work which our press office already does in sending out press releases, we ought to have a proper media strategy. I think in discussion with the Secretary General it was accepted that yes, we have expertise in the press releases and whatever, but we haven't in the past got the necessary expertise to establish that media strategy, because people ought to be coming to listen to debates of members of Parliament from 57 different countries over a vast region and countries as disparate as we are. So that, I think, is an important element. Another element is that we look at the way the annual declaration is prepared in the hope that it becomes more available, more readable. It's available, certainly, it's piled up everywhere. It's whether it's been read is the question. We want it to be readable. We want to ensure that it's read, and there is a case for some sort of separate document, executive summary, call it what you will, that gets into the hands of the press and fellow politicians in our national parliaments, aside and away from the large piece of paper. Now, the various items which are listed in my report, numbered 1 to 8, about which I haven't spoken, but would be happy to answer any questions. The Bureau agreed they should be the subject of further discussion and a further report to the Bureau as appropriate to this committee. Our objective has been to make the use of members' time more effective, efficient, and ensure that it has an impact and it makes certain that our work is seen and understood. And all these suggestions which are coming forward, I hope will contribute to that and enable the enormous work done by ad hoc committees and special representatives to receive proper consideration rather than be shortchanged as to time in an overcrowded agenda. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear Peter. I think it's not novelty for many of our members because we discussed it a few times. Sometimes not very concrete proposal, but now it came to the much more better shape. I'd like to thank all the members of our advisory group, which I set up a few months ago, and personally to the part in all our meetings there, and thank you, Peter, for leadership in your capacity to be the head of a special subcommittee. I think all we heard is better for our work, it's more rational, let's say, offers, and It will ease our work, it will be more concentrated focus on important issues rather than waste time on sometimes on the petty things that we're discussing here. And also, Peter mentioned the media strategy, which is also very important for our bright visibility. It's just not to advertise what we are doing, but to be on a very point that's important for the society, responding to the needs of people. And of course then more leadership role of Bureau to setting up priorities. I think if we will go now to start the debate on that, we have only half an hour. I think we just need to endorse those principles and nobody never been against them. So if anybody wants to say something, that's open. Just to have in mind that sharp, at least me, at 11:40 we should have to go to this meeting. So you want something to say?
Yes, please. Thank you very much, Mr. President. And I also would like to thank Lord Rhodes and the advisory group for the work they have done. It's really needed, and I think the work is looking forward for the new challenges for OSCE-PA. I just would like to add one thing when we are talking about making our duties more efficient, our work more recognized. There is also an aspect that I see is very important, and that's the possibility for every member of the organization to make a voice visible. We shouldn't say or try to restrict our members' possibility to write supplementary items or might be possible to do it in another way that's done today, because I am a former rapporteur of the First Committee. I know how much time it takes to make the report, and I have also seen all the work that's done by the heads of the working group. For example, Neymar from Belgium, all the work that's done to for the countries. But on the other hand, every member here is a member of the national parliament. And as a member of the national parliament, it's also important to have the possibility to write the word on an issue that's important for them to the delegation. So I just want to raise this issue and send it, address it to Lord Rhodes and his working group. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Please end the last. Because it was this discussion. It was very short, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Dear Mr. President, dear Mr. Secretary General, dear colleagues, I'd like to thank Mr. President Tsereteli for his comprehensive report and energetic activities he and his dedicated team have performed. We express our gratitude to all members of the OSCE Parliamentary Assembly for continuous support and special interest for the development in the Republic of Moldova. A special thank you to you, President Tsereteli and Secretary General Montella, for the visits to the Republic of Moldova in order to see on the spot the real situation in the country. On the 70.
Dear Secretary, very short. Of course, I'm very much thankful. You
On the 24th of February, we will have parliamentary elections in the Republic of Moldova, organized for the first time under a mixed voting system, which involved the election of 50 representatives in the national constituencies through party list proportional representation and 51 representatives on single-member constituencies, which also include 3 constituencies abroad and 2 in the Transnistrian region. We welcome all members of the election observation mission of the OSCE to the Republic of Moldova. I want to underline that these elections are very important for our country and people. That is why Moldovan authorities want to have true, free, democratic and fair elections. that will allow to continue the reforms and consolidation of our efforts on the European path. Thank you, and we are waiting for you in Moldova.
Okay, thank you, dear Sergey. In fact, you really guided us to another point, which we will touch upon now. It's election observation work. And what I'd like to say is, in Moldova, we'll pass their decision of the people. But before there will be discussion, let me first report on the work that has been done to modernize our election observation capacities and work. So you will recall that in the Berlin session, the Secretary General, also myself, we referred to the ongoing attacks on the credibility and integrity of election observation. While the OSCPA has not been the main focus for such a criticism or attacks, we agree that it's much more better to make proactive efforts than to react on the facts which might happen. And as you know, in the absence of a clear set of guidelines, OSCPA election observation has so far been administered on an ad hoc basis by the leadership, supported by the International Secretary. That's circumstances under which we're working. So our goal has been to replace this by a more clear set of consistent guidelines which demonstrate the readiness of the OSCPA to strengthen election observation, in particular regarding its credibility and integrity. So the core of the guidelines should be a code of ethics that explains the current code of conduct, the scope of which does not govern the selection of observers. So several years ago, the OSCPA agreed and endorsed the UN Declaration of Principles for International Election Observation. This declaration contains a number of election observation related protocols. So the most noteworthy is this one. No one should be allowed to be a member of an international election observation mission unless that person is free from any political, economic, or other conflicts of interest that would interfere with conducting observation accurately and impartially. So whether or not we create new guidelines, the Parliamentary Assembly should implement this principle. This is not easy, of course, in current political let's say, landscape. The task of drafting guidelines was given to Ambassador Notele, and I credit to him, I'd like to thank him, who is simultaneously our most experienced election observer and a constitutional lawyer. And this first draft has been, I'd like to just outline all the stages. The first draft has been the subject of intensive consultations within the International Secretariat, and then declared and debated for the first time in Milan during our Bureau. At the meeting we agreed that Bureau members would be given an opportunity for making written comments and suggestions. So several have made use of this opportunity and we responded to that and tried to accommodate in our wording or the provisions. Their proposals have led to amendments in the draft which you have in front of you this version already today. Ambassador Notele has replied in detail to all your contributions, bearing in mind our rules and the diversity of our assembly. You will understand how difficult it is for every idea to be reconciled and accepted, but I commend him for having accommodated many of the concerns you raised, and also Roberto and myself took part in those negotiations or trying to seek a compromise. Instead of engaging in the lengthy drafting process in the search of consensus on all points, this guideline must remain what they were intended to be. An instruction for the International Secretariat, an attempt to raise the awareness of members about the requirements for taking into consideration for professional conduct in line with OSCP's commitments, and an information for members about the procedures are being applied. So I would therefore ask you all, my dear colleagues, to take good note of these guidelines and make use of them once they will be reinforced. And we'd like to start the enforcement of those guidelines already from April 1, 2019, to take into consideration some election observations we have. So now if there are any suggestions or any ideas, please, for squeezed manner, but I will allow you to speak. First was Mr. Tolstoy, then Azai, Irene.
Я хочу поблагодарить господина председателя и господина генерального секретаря за те усилия, которые были ими сделаны для разработки настоящих принципов наблюдения. Вместе с тем хочу привлечь внимание коллег, что требование к парламентскому наблюдению за выборами является не просто инструкцией, а является субстантивной частью работы Ассамблеи, решения по которой, на мой взгляд, должны принимать не чиновники секретариата, а политики, парламентарии, избранные в своих странах. Есть несколько замечаний, которые, на наш взгляд, нуждаются в обсуждении коллегиально и в устранении в этом проекте. Поэтому целиком с принципами, которые в нем изложены, мы не можем согласиться. Считаем, что принцип, когда наблюдаемый определяет годность или негодность наблюдателя, не отвечает интересам независимого исследования демократичности процедуры выборов. И еще одно. Как-то по странному стечению обстоятельств, как раз в связи с нежеланием Украины исполнять обязательства ОБСЕ по наблюдению за выборами, именно в этих правилах появляется пункт, по которому страна, имеющая тот или иной конфликт, может отказать в участии наблюдателей. Я задаюсь вопросом, означает ли это, например, что поскольку в отношении моей страны действуют незаконные экономические санкции, то есть по сути объявлена экономическая война, означает ли это, что в мою страну не приедут наблюдатели от ОБСЕ и так далее? Вот я считаю, что очень хорошее, правильное начало этой работы, но в том виде, в котором сейчас эти принципы наблюдения изложены, принимать их мы не должны, мы должны их доработать. Еще раз большое спасибо всем, кто работал над этим документом.
Okay, dear colleagues, so just some announcements. So we have 15 minutes, so we have to conclude this short discussion in 10 minutes. Please, you might have a 1 minute and a half intervention. I don't think, Mr. Tolstoy, that the first principle is now exists. I think it's not in this document now. When, for instance, hosting country could, let's say, choose or pick up or dictate anything to the observation mission. I don't think so. It was maybe I give something not acceptable for us, of course, for everyone. So now it was Azai and Irene.
Thank you, Mr. President. Indeed, we have the broad discussions in our bureau meeting in Milano. So I do appreciate that at least we have such a single document and the framework ready for the guiding the principles of international observation mission. This should be appreciated. And I think OEC as the federal institution who has a great mandate for international observation should take care of all these issues and of course try to fulfill the gap that we are facing or observing for many years. This is why, of course, it should be open for any further development or improvement, but I should appreciate the work done by Ambassador Naterle. I think it is really a very good opportunity to have such document which creates the equal participation opportunity for all the member countries, which is very important. But the only thing that I, Mr. President, want to mention here is that those principles, particularly when it comes to the code of conduct, should be applicable to the other observation mission as well. Because ODIHR has a crucial role, it should be obeyed to the general framework that we are designing together, and this is why I do ask you to have the direct negotiations with the ODIHR and have some common language. And another thing is, might be mentioned here, the methodology of the audit that is being considered for many years within the Assembly, which makes some concern for us. This is why I don't want to go into detail because I have already sent my proposal in written way to the Ambassador Notelli, but I do believe that this is a matter of discussion with our audit colleagues. Thank you very much.
Okay, Irena, please. Irena.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Good job, Andreas Nodelle, but there is always a but. Okay, there is a point of concern to the Cyprus delegation, on which I have addressed a more detailed letter to you and to Mr. Modella and to Mr. Nodelle. I refer to a clause in section B, potential conflicts of interest. I'm not going to read the clause. This is too generalizing. Conflicts or disputes of a different nature or ground situation cannot be placed in the same basket and certainly do not justify the exclusion of MPs from all countries having disputes or the exclusion of all MPs from one country involved in a dispute from election observation. The approval of an MP's participation in election observation is already covered by other criteria contained in the guidelines. This is also selective and discriminating as it targets MPs from specific countries. More so when a bilateral dispute does not involve ongoing fighting. Cyprus is in a serious dispute with Turkey regarding the Cyprus problem. More recently, we had some more provocations in the economic zone. Anyway, this situation has not prevented me or my colleague Mr. Hajigiannis to go to Turkey as observers, and I can assure you that Turkish MPs will be most welcome to come to Cyprus to observe any elections. That said, clause is also contradictory to the aim of ownership, if not offensive, to MPs altogether. I think you want me to conclude, so I will not take you any more of your time, but you should consider sanctions for the MPs who do not obey the guidelines of OSCE and not target MPs who, without any prejudice, go and observe according to your guidelines. Thank you.
Thank you. We received your suggestion, and there are some answers, and we try to accommodate. We make it short, please. Was there Serena on board? And then I will very shortly close it. Mahar, as I already spoke, on behalf of the delegation, Belarus.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Je suis tout à fait d'accord avec la collègue de Chypre sur les questions des sanctions éventuelles pour les députés qui manqueraient à des obligations minimales. Je voulais préciser que nous n'étions pas tout à fait d'accord avec la question des membres des groupes d'amitié. Parce que, est-ce que cela concerne uniquement les députés qui seraient chefs de mission ou tous les députés qui pourraient participer à la mission? En effet, en France, les groupes d'amitié regroupent toutes les couleurs politiques, donc n'ont pas de signe d'engagement ou de soutien envers un pays. À titre personnel, par exemple, moi je fais partie et de l'Azerbaïdjan et de l'Arménie en France, justement pour que la diplomatie parlementaire puisse avancer. Donc je voudrais juste faire préciser si l'interdiction de participer à une MOE au nom de l'appartenance à un groupe d'amitié s'applique à tous les députés ou seulement à ceux qui sont les chefs de mission. Et enfin, je voudrais dire que c'est tout. Voilà, merci.
Thank you very much. Belarus.
Уважаемый господин председатель, уважаемые коллеги, белорусская сторона в целом приветствует разработку руководящих указаний по миссии по ОБСЕ по наблюдению за выборами. В то же время отмечаем, что эти указания станут первым подобным документом, нацеленным на упорядочение работы таких миссий. В связи с этим, на взгляд, он требует довольно тщательного подхода членов Ассамблеи к отработке содержащихся в них положений. На наш взгляд, в документе имеется целый ряд сомнительных формулировок, ограничивающих возможность включения членов национальных парламентских делегаций наблюдательной миссии по области под различными предлогами конфликтов интересов. Участие в наблюдении депутатов из стран, прямо или косвенно находящихся в конфликтной ситуации со странами, проводящими выборы, а также членство парламентской группы, о чем говорили наши коллеги. Ввиду отсутствия возможности согласования его в столь короткие сроки, полагали бы необходимым доработать указанный документ и рассмотреть на предстоящей ассамблее, которая состоится. Спасибо.
Thank you very much. There was Lord Boris, you like now or maybe a little bit later on? Okay.
I'm in your hands when you would like.
I know that you will conclude as well. So, Doris, please, on Mike the lead, so maybe you can agree with the German position.
Ja, die deutsche Delegation hat Probleme mit der Benennung von Delegationsmitgliedern, die nicht direkt der Delegation angehören, aber natürlich Parlamentarier sind ansonsten alle Anforderungen erfüllt, wenn aus der Delegation selbst heraus jetzt niemand kommen kann. Deswegen wäre es sehr froh, wenn wir das etwas präzisieren könnten, dass man auch im Ausnahmefall nicht Delegationsmitglieder, aber Abgeordnete, die sonst keine Probleme aufweisen, delegieren kann. Das wäre uns sehr wichtig, dass es ausdrücklich ist, so wie wir es auch geschrieben haben, auf unser Schreiben und eine Rede zugesprochen haben.
It is very good, Andreas, that we have really clear improvements in terms of cooperation between the different observing bodies. This is really good. In other terms, my kind request would be, please, as you also see that there are still substantial questions, like the one, the first, which I joined as member of the German delegation, that would be, in practice, please, overly bureaucratic and really make in our case clearly less possible to participate in negotiations. While at the other side, of course, we also should take serious other points raised here. Therefore, my kind request, let's have a second or a third look. First we on the second today, and then to finally decide Luxembourg with a little bit more time than we will run.
Okay, good. Then Marcus, very short, then Lord Boris, and have to close. And there are also some other issues. Please.
Thank you, President. Very quickly, I think we should be very, very cautious in approaching this kind of opening the Parliamentary Assembly in practically anyone who is a member of Parliament. Anyone. I think this goes to a direction that really could jeopardize even the credibility of the work being done in observation mission in parliamentary assemblies. So, I think this draft, as I said, gives a possibility that this happens, but under specific consideration, approval by the President, and under specific conditions. But this is should not be unconditional. It should be carefully scrutinized, and the basic rule should be that Parliamentary Assembly members conduct election observation.
Thank you, dear Marquis, and please, Lord Boris, and with this we will finish this item.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and I will be as brief as possible. It's clear that a tremendous amount of work has been done on this by Ambassador Notele in an attempt to produce guidelines helpful to ensure that the credibility and reputation of parliamentary observation by the OSCE remains high and not challenged. But colleagues have expressed various worries, and there are certain difficulties, I think, which maybe need to be examined. maybe some provisions need to be actually in our rules of procedure to make this whole thing worthwhile. There's the whole difficulty of who is or is not a member of the delegation, because different countries have different means of appointing delegations, sometimes different people for different meetings. The one thing I would have thought that was uncontroversial was a large proportion of the declaration of the last page of the document. If you, Mr. President and the Secretariat, are anxious to have something in place by the beginning of April, or at the beginning of April, then I would have thought that the bullet points on that last sheet starts in the light of this I declare, I and my family have never received economic benefits, etc., 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 down to nearly the bottom of the page, ignoring the thing about friendship troops. I would have thought that was all incredibly uncontroversial, and that election monitors, proposed election monitors, ought to have no difficulty in signing it. And so if the Standing Committee can't agree the whole thing, I would hope that perhaps they could agree that limited range of declarations which are about honesty and integrity and avoiding conflicts of interest. Something which I would have thought we would all want to support. That is only my suggestion, Mr. President. Otherwise, I think we have to refer the rest of the matter to the Bureau or to this committee at a later meeting.
Okay, thank you. And we'll ask now finally 2 words to hear from Andres Otero.
Very quickly, the first thing is a question that's easy to answer is the one about friendship rules. In fact, the conflict of interest is only seen for heads of for the leadership of the election observation mission. It is not seen for others, but there was a specific request from one member of the Bureau to include them, and I've tried to find a compromise. The compromise is that membership is made transparent, but it does not include normal observers. So you have more or less something in the middle, but I think I've answered your question. The conflict of interest that is damaging only applies to the leadership of election observation. And this was formed after working to the Council of Europe is also put in place. The second thing, I think that's also a misunderstanding by the Russian delegation. I think I've said very clearly, where it's about page 7 of the explanatory note, that it should not be the country observer that chooses the observers. The whole purpose of the exercise is that we choose according to certain principles. And of course, that might mean that in certain cases we exclude people, but it's not the country observed, it's us. And it's a little bit unfortunate for me, of course. I wrote this before the issue between Ukraine and Russia about the observers in this concrete election came up. So it was not targeting one specific conflict. But I think there are situations in which there is open fighting, where there are open conflict that do not allow observers from one country that is supporting this to observe in another country. We have to take into consideration these things. I agree with Cyprus. Maybe we could even be clearer about this, although I've written acute conflict, I've written something about direct military support, and so I thought I was already very clear about the fact that this is not addressing any conflict, it is just addressing something which has become unfortunately very common nowadays, namely a kind of an undeclared status of war. That is a completely different situation. On the other things, I know about these issues. I just want to refer to what Lord Bone said. It is a very difficult issue to admit non-members. There are clear rules in our rules of procedure. You could argue that the admission of non-members to OECPA activities would be something that needs to be addressed in the rules of procedure. I thought I proposed a compromise which allows also to take into consideration concerns of the delegation.
Okay, so what is my thoughts? That's a very important document. You all understand. As far as there are some questions, And I think it's good faith, those questions, to refine this document. And my conviction is that we need a little bit more time, not this squeeze discussion here and then running out of time, let's say, to finish this discussion. So, Lord Morris, please, because I have to go now. I have a meeting with Lajcak, with the chairman in office, in 3 minutes, so I would like to ask maybe Lord Morris to finish just 5-10 minutes our meeting. But what I'd like to say, so there is a part of these recommendations, like a code of conduct with a very important principles, which could be endorsed by us. It's about integrity, it's about more ethical and moral principles. It's not a problem, everybody is for this. But according to this discussion, we will pick up now again all those concerns that you have. There were 2 or 3. Some of them are already solved, but there's no time to explain again. And after this, I think we'll have a little bit more time to finally refine this document and maybe it will be ready for the Bureau meeting. So let's say the next day which we predict. So to clarify finally, so the declaration part is acceptable for us. Nobody was against. But the part with the more technicalities and more explanation, methodology, or some decisions or offered, I don't know, sanctions, or that part we can move to another meeting and discussions and maybe finalize in few months. Is it acceptable? Thank you very much for this. So this was achieved in this part. So thank you very much. I have to run. Great friends, great colleagues. I have to leave now and thank you. Yeah, and see you of course in 10 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We have a very limited amount of time. Item 9, the reports on preparations for future OSCE Parliamentary Assembly meetings in 2019. As you will see from the agenda, the Bureau will meet in Copenhagen on the 7th and 8th of April, as ever, the Danish delegation of hospitality. I hope the Danish representative will forgive me if I don't ask him to speak, unless he has some very pressing point. We do need to move on. The 28th annual session will be in Luxembourg between the 4th and the 8th of July. The theme is advancing sustainable development to promote security and the role of Parliament. Again, the representative of Luxembourg is here, emphasising our gratitude for the invitation and looking forward to being in Luxembourg. Very respected that anything that Luxembourg wishes to add to that at this stage. Thank you very much, it's very kind. Now 9, the autumn meeting is in Marrakech on the 3rd and 6th of October. It's the first time that the Parliamentary Assembly is meeting outside our own region and is being organised by Parliamentary Cooperation. And again, I hope the representative from Marrakech will forgive me. I'm sorry, Luxembourg doesn't speak, I beg your pardon.
Merci Monsieur le Président, chers collègues, très brièvement, en effet, nous avons le plaisir d'accueillir les délégués pour la 28e session annuelle du 4 au 8 mai à Luxembourg. Juste pour dire que les préparations sont bien avancées, grâce aussi à l'excellente coopération de notre équipe avec le secrétariat international. Comme vous l'avez déjà dit, le sujet principal, c'est faire avancer le développement durable pour promouvoir la sécurité et avec un regard plus particulier sur le rôle des parlements. Très brièvement, quelques informations pratiques. Donc, ça se déroulera au centre des conventions européennes. C'est dans le quartier européen, c'est dans le public connaît bien le quartier européen à Luxembourg. Il y aura 4 hôtels près du centre de conférence. Il y aura aussi un programme d'intégration pour les personnes accompagnantes. Si vous
J'ai d'autres informations, il y a au deuxième étage, il y a un stand avec d'autres informations pour cette assemblée. Pour terminer, pour dire que donc la délégation luxembourgeoise espère revoir de nombreux délégués au Luxembourg en juillet prochain. Merci.
Thank you very much indeed, and my apologies for not recognizing you when we dealt with that. We were dealing with 93 and the autumn meeting in Marrakesh. Good English to say anything. Looking forward to that event. Thank you very much indeed. Item 4, Bureau meeting, the OSC Ministry of Council is in Bratislava. The 6th of December, and again, I'm happy to say anything other than to say we do forward to Thank you so much. I can provide invitations to several meetings in the future. Dr. Fry, Canada.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Honourable members of the Steering Committee, parliamentary colleagues, as head of the Canadian delegation to the OSCPA, I am proud to announce that Canada will host the 29th annual session of the OSCPA in my beautiful city of Vancouver, British Columbia. And as you know, we always talk about the OSC being a zone that stretches from Vancouver to Vladivostok. So here we are, we're going to be in Vancouver. And I'm sorry to say that since 1995, Canada has never hosted an annual meeting. But we did host in 2008 an honor meeting. But I just wanted to say that we're a proud and long-standing member of the OSCE, and we support the objectives and the aims of the OSCE and the whole issue of multilateralism. And as head of one of the goals of our delegation will be to emphasize diversity, because Vancouver is one of the most diverse cities in the world, and I tell you that every single one of you will come and find someone from your own country living there as a proud Canadian, speaking your language and understanding your values. And you will see people mingling together in the city of Vancouver who are proud members of a global society. And we want to highlight that because Canada believes that global societies, the strengthening of global societies, the ability to talk to each other, the ability to build respectful relationships is absolutely key to global peace. And Canada wants to proudly show that we have proven in the city of Vancouver and in Canada that we have done that. That people who have conflicts around the world are able to live together, work together, marry each other, and respect each other's religions, races, ethnicities. So I'm proud to welcome you. It is the most beautiful city. It has beautiful mountains, a Pacific Ocean, and I know that you will enjoy yourself there. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Fry. The shortness of my response in no way diminishes the expression of gratitude that I wish to make on behalf of the Assembly for the offer. As so often, we're running out of time, and I'm sure that everybody is getting forward to visiting Vancouver in July 2015. Can I just briefly say, as said at the end of all these meetings, discussions are going on with various delegations to host meetings for future years, the autumn meeting in 2020 and 21, and our statutory meetings from 2020 onwards still require a post. So if any member state, participating state of Parliament is able to do that, the International Secretariat of the Presidency will be delighted to hear from you. It has already been mentioned earlier today. This is one of the ways in which participating states and parliaments can assist the work of the Assembly. That completes the agenda of the Standing Committee. The plenary